Earlier today, I was reviewing some Instagram content that I'm posting, and the content is about making mistakes. And the message that I'm giving is that it's better to own up to mistakes, to learn from it, and to move on rather than trying to cover it up or making excuses for the mistakes. That I believe is a healthy, positive message. That's my message. Reflecting on it though, do I do it myself? Do I own up to mistakes and then move on? In my mind are events in my personal life where I still haven't told the people that is with the mistakes. Am I a hypocrite for telling people to own up to mistakes when I don't do it myself? So that's today's reflection between these ideals, these healthy principles that we live by, compared to the realities of living the life we live. First, about advice that I hear and read. All advice to me, to some extent, are ideals and generalizations. I have to determine when they apply, where they apply, and how to apply them. Some types of advice, like thou shalt not kill, are a lot easier to live by compared to, for instance, you should be honest at all times, even when your partner's asking you whether she looks overweight. So it's a minefield trying to live by that last principle. So conscious of how I process advice, when I give my when I give advice myself, I do realize that I'm presenting ideals, and somebody who's listening to that advice have to exercise some discretion as to when it applies and how it applies to them. Sometimes I think, why should we even have ideals? Why not deal with every situation on a case by case basis and decide accordingly? But it does seem to me that it would be a very uninspiring life and also very stressful without some ideals in that we strive for and that underpins the way we live, and some ideals for us to live up to. So I think it's useful to have some ideals. It forms some basic values for ourselves, what we live by, who we are. But with these ideals, we are then faced with the challenges of when to apply them, where and with who and how to keep them in balance and with everything else, and how to adapt them, how to use them in a considered way. So one of the examples I have in my head that I was talking about is when I didn't tell the person that was involved in my mistake, is that someone gave me something of value to him, and one day I slipped and I broke it. Now I was sure, because he lives far away and he can't travel anymore, that if I don't tell him, he will probably never know. If I do tell him, is it good for him? Is it good for me? Is it good for our friendship? If I don't tell him and then he finds out through other means, is that much worse than if I just told him and dealt with the consequences? Does that break our trust in such deep ways that it's not worth taking the risk? How does me telling him affect all the other people around him who is taking care of him? And if I tell him, then what is the remedy? How does that help the situation? So there are all these questions, and I don't know if I did the right thing. It's one of those difficult situations where a few different principles and a few different ideals clash in real life, and I have to pick a non-ideal choice. So the biggest lessons for me from that, and also from a lot of these dilemmas, is to pick the best choice and move forward without beating myself about it. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you today about ideals, and about how ideals clash with real life, and having to deal with it in a considered, balanced, and adaptable way. So my parting questions for you is: what are your ideals? What do you live by, and how do your ideals come up when it hits real life? Let me know in the comments.